Attacking move, gives the ball to Tom Finney, he shoots and it's a goal.
This is a treasure chest of football history. The National Football Museum at Preston. The greatest players that this country's ever produced, they're all commemorated here. Stanley Matthews, Billy Wright, the great George Best. But there's one player many believe outshines all of them.
And here's the first one. Tommy Lawton passes to Preston's Tom Finney, who slams it into the net.
When Tom retired in 1960, one journalist wrote, if all the brains in the game sat in committee to design the perfect player, they would come up with the reincarnation of Tom Finney.
Stanley Matthews and Tom Finney, they were the best players of their generation.
You talk about world-class players today, but, you know, it's not being disrespectful to them. He couldn't miss his boots.
He's always been the same person, which that's why people have actually taken to him.
This is the story of the man who is arguably Britain's greatest living footballer. Tom Finney, 80 years of age on April the 5th, 2002, now Sir Tom following his knighthood in 1998. Tom Finney is revered by countless football fans, including many who never even saw him play.
Thank you, Sir Tom. Thanks very much.
Milburn is stripped in the penalty area, and the ball rolls to Finney, who slams it in for the goal of the match.
Finney became England's record goal scorer, 76 caps, 30 goals. For Preston North End, he played nearly 500 games, scoring over 200 goals between 1946 and 1960. He was the first man to be named Footballer of the Year twice. He was amazingly versatile. He also won universal respect through his outstanding sense of fair play.
And there's that great sportsman Tom Finney. Disappointment in his heart, congratulating the West Brom side that came so near to doing the Cup and League double.
And all this while earning a living as a plumber. Tom Finney was born on April the 5th, 1922 in Preston. His destiny was to be a footballer. His talent was obvious from the start. Kicking a ball around the schoolyard at Deepdale School, just like the kids of today, or playing with his pals in Moor Park, close to the Preston North End football ground. Is this where it all started for you, Tom?
It is really, yes. We played most of the league games, and they had a league in those days when we were at school, and quite competitive really.
What sort of age were you?
10 to 12.
But you played football before that? You played
yes, I started very young, at 6 or 7 years of age. Yeah. And then went to the secondary school, which was around about 11 years of age then, and played until I was 14.
And you always wanted to be a footballer?
I did,
right from the word go?
Right from the word go, yeah.
Coming home from school, they would play football coming home. Not always with a football, with a little ball or anything that they could kick. And Tom very often left his blazer or his coat or a woolly on Moor Park. And he would get home and then suddenly realise that he hadn't got his blazer or whatever he'd left, which he put down for a goal post. The headmaster from Deepdale Council School lived on the estate, so did quite a few of the masters did from the schools. And I used to walk home sometimes with them from school, and he said to me one day, "You will have a very famous brother. He's going to be a brilliant footballer. He's just got what it takes for footballing."
But when the young Finney wrote off for a trial at Preston North End, he received no reply. And even when his father Alf persuaded the club to give him a chance, there was another unexpected setback for the young player.
I'd started work as an apprentice plumber then, in those days, and my father said, "Now, just a minute, like, you know, you're starting your trade, you're going to finish it." And he said, you want something in your fingers besides football. You could be 17 or 18 years of age, and thrown on the scrap heap, and that was the end of it. I mean, my father wouldn't let me sign.
But your father brought you up on his own, didn't you? Because your mother died when you were 4.
That's right. And my father married later on in life, but there were 6 of us when my mother died at 32 years of age.
And was your father a huge influence on you?
Oh, he was he? Tremendous influence, and he was very keen on sport himself.
But he said to you, Tom, you're going to be a plumber. You're not going to be a footballer, you're going to be a plumber.
Well, he said, you know, your football comes as secondary anyway.
And when you became an absolute star, what did your father feel like? Did you remind him about the time he said you're going to become a plumber?
I did, yes.
The Second World War delayed Tom's football career even more than the plumbing. He spent 4 years in the forces, seeing frontline action with Montgomery's 8th Army in Egypt and later in Italy. But once the war ended, it was back to Preston, and his football career at last took off. This the same toy? This in here?
Yeah, just exactly the same. Referee's room here. And
you used to love referees, did you?
Yes.
Just the same, the hardest job in the world.
It is indeed, and it was in our day, really.
Well, you haven't said that. End up 5-a-side now, eh? You were playing. Tom became one of the brightest stars of post-war British football, along with his great rival Stanley Matthews at nearby Blackpool. Preston were among the top teams, and with Tom playing right wing, despite being naturally left-footed, they regularly finished in the top half of the First Division, the equivalent of today's Premiership. So Tom, you must have fantastic memories of this place. Where did you sit about for a start?
This was my spot, and
was it?
number 7.
And always just spot you?
Yeah, that was always my spot, even when I moved to centre forward later on in my career.
And he won't tell us why he was so great, but you can tell us.
Well,
what was great about Tom?
He was the most versatile player that you could have. He proved that by being a right winger, a left winger and a centre forward.
And Tom was just as good in all 3 positions, right up to international standard. No player since has got close to that range of football skills. Now, we've talked about great players and versatility and 2 great feet and scoring goals and penalty kicks, but how can anybody be a great player playing with these? Talk me through these. Are these for minors or what? Is this a minor's boot? Don't tell me you played with these boots.
We did play with the boots, and you've got a tablet there that tells you about that. There was one of the boots that I brought on the market, actually, but that was the boot, as we knew it then, to play in. That was one of the best boots that was really going then.
You could do somebody some damage with that.
Yeah.
That's like a steel toe cap.
Yeah, well, it's a hard toe, and it was only in later years, of course, and when I, well into my career, when we played in Brazil and we saw the sort of soft toe, which was just a much less, there was certainly nowhere near the ankle. You have the depth of the ankle there to cover the ankle and protect the ankle, and you needed protecting in those days, because when you had a defender that caught you on the shin with a toe like that, you really felt it, I'll tell you.
But Tom, you never had a red card, you never had a yellow card, and you wore these boots. What happened there?
Well, I just wore them like everybody else did in those days, and that was the boot that was, you know, for the professional footballer in those days.
But that's a fantastic disciplinary record. Not to ever have... How many games did you play?
4 and odd, anyway. 4
and no bookings?
No.
Was he a gentleman on the pitch as well?
Oh, yes, yeah. He used to shout at me at times, like, but... because I didn't...
I never shouted at referees.
No,
shouted
no.
His teammates,
no.
But never...
No.
You played for Preston all your career. Did you ever fancy going abroad?
Well, I had an offer when we played Italy in Florence, and I was approached by an Italian club, and we were earning then in those days £14 a week and 12 in the summer, and I was I was approached and offered terms of £120 a week by this Italian, plus a house and plus a car. Oh. And when the president of the club asked me was I interested, I said, yeah, I'm very interested.
As you would be.
And I came back here to Preston and said, well, I wanted to see the board. I saw the chairman, and he said, oh, you can't see the board. He said, what is it you want to see them about? So I told him I'd had this offer from Italy, and he said, well, it was a broad Lancashire Mr. Buck, who was then the chairman of Preston North End, who just told me in no short words, really, to say that if I doesn't play for Preston North End, I doesn't play for anybody else, and that was the finish of it. I never got to see the board or anything else, and that was the finish.
The other big disappointment of Tom's career was the 1954 FA Cup final. The nation expected Finney to inspire Preston to victory against West Bromwich Albion. But it was not to be. West Brom won the match 3-2.
It's a goal for Allen.
I think that was the biggest regret of my life, really, and that was a big disappointment for me in the fact to reach the final, because, as you well know, that you don't often get the opportunity of playing more than once in a cup final. But it was one of those games that I somehow didn't really feel up to it before the game. You know how you do before a game, you feel excited, but you've got control of everything. And there I didn't somehow. I didn't feel as though I was really keyed up for the game.
Any particular reason? Because, I mean, later on, I mean, in 1986, my first cup final at Wembley, I was exactly the same. Just before the start of the game, I thought, I'm going to struggle here. Did you actually think you were going to struggle in the match before the start of the...
No, I wouldn't say I did. I didn't really think I was going to struggle, because I'd played against the Millard, who was the captain of the West Brom side. I'd played against him on quite a few occasions and really held and usually had a good game against him. But he had a really fine game that particular day, and I think it was due to the fact that I was well below form.
And now it's Ray Barlow, and it's a penalty.
It was a real upset, especially as Tom enjoyed a fruitful partnership on the right with number 4 Tommy Docherty, later to manage Manchester United and Scotland.
Docherty to Finney. Docherty. Charlie Wayman, he's not given offside. Yes, the referee has. The referee has given him offside. No, he's not.
Wouldn't it be great if we could reunite Sir Tom Finney and Tommy Dock on a football pitch? Well, we've done it. The Blackpool ploy.
Oh. Hit it. Oh. Hit it again. Oh.
Brilliant. We invited Tommy Dock, Tom's old teammate at Preston, and Jimmy Armfield, who played for Preston's biggest rivals, Blackpool, to recreate the old days.
Shut up, Armfield.
Hanson and Docherty versus Finney and Armfield. Scotland versus England. No quarter asked or given.
That was a David Ginola goal, that, wasn't it? Oh,
David. So there was great rivalry between Blackpool and Preston.
It must have gone on before, but with Stan and Tom particularly, that was it. People were always comparing them. That was the big thing, but, you know, they were so close that, whenever we played, but...
And what was it like for you playing against these two?
Very difficult.
Great difficulty, I would have thought.
Getting the ball past him was easy. Getting yourself and the ball past him was totally different. No, they were a good team. A good team, Preston. Very good. But to be fair, we were a good team at the time.
Alan Brown.
We had a few decent players.
Harry Johnson.
Yeah, there was
Bill Perry.
Top, what you would call today, there would have been a top Premier League clash today.
Hit it.
You've got to keep stopping.
Hit it.
Fend the well up for Alan for a minute. It's not most like it.
This is lifetime on the Golden Mile, this, you know.
What about when it was Scotland England? Obviously, you loved this man, but take no prisoners?
Oh no, I mean, one game at Wembley, excuse me, we got a right hammering, and I gave Tom a rough time, and now it's a right berth. And I come home to Deepdale on the Monday, and the chairman sent me, Nat Buck, who was the chairman, He says, "He lad," he says, "I want you to have a word with you." He said, "You were out of order the way you were tackling our Tom at Wembley on Saturday. You're a bit over the top there, lad." He says, "I've got some tablets I want to give you to cool you down a little bit." And what I said to him to do with the tablets, I couldn't repeat on this programme, actually.
But Tom, when he was kicking you at Wembley, how do you feel? What was...
Oh, no, Tom would kick you and pick you up and say, it's all right, you know.
Here's your leg back. I think that's grovel you've got in goals there, huh?
Magic touch.
8-0.
We're getting annihilated here.
Nah, but they don't know it. They talk about world-class players today, but, you know, it's not being disrespectful to them. He couldn't lace his boots. Could not lace his boots.
Is that right? You think the modern-day players would struggle in terms of quality against quality?
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, there's some great players today. Don't misunderstand. I think there's a lot of tremendous players today and a lot of tremendous young professionals today. But I would say the nearest I've seen to Tom Finney would be George Best.
Yeah.
He'd be the nearest I've seen. I think today, Alan, they use the word loosely. Oh, he's world class. I think they use that very, very loosely today.
But then you see clips of George Best and you think he's the best British player that's ever been.
Frightening.
Is it because we haven't seen so many clips of Tom Finney, or there's not so much footage, that you think that goes against Tom Finney when you talk about the greats? Yes, and I think today, of course, people remember George more than they remember Tom, because as time goes on a little bit. But Finney had everything. I would say Finney and Best are equal in terms of skill and ability. But Tom shades it by that little bit of being a better professional. A manager's dream. Never late for training, never ever booked once in his life. People might say, oh, he never gets booked. Well, is he doing his job properly? Because everyone gets booked. But no, he wouldn't. He just got up and got on with it.
I think we have a tendency to look back and exaggerate. And, you know, the people say, you know, the older you get, the better the player you are when you were younger. But I think in his case, I think if you speak to any player who played in that period, in the after-war years up to his 1960, you know, I got him for about 5 or 6 years as a player, I think they would all say that was a truly great footballer.
He was very tough mentally. Yeah, he went into tackles very, very hard and won the ball. He never shirked a tackle in his life. He never rolled about in agony when he was fouled. He was never, if he was treated very badly by a full-back, he never ever thought of going and getting revenge on him. He just sort of a little smile and get the ball and tore him to pieces, just went past him. He wasn't there. Fantastic player.
True to the wishes of his father, Tom not only completed his apprenticeship as a plumber, he continued in the trade throughout his career and set up his own company in partnership with his brother Joe. All this while playing at the very top level. It just shows how much the game has changed.
I came out of the forces in '46 and the pay then was, it was a maximum payment of course, and it was £12 in the playing season and £10 in the summer. As I once startled the chairman and asked him why we didn't get £12 a year round, and he said, well, of course you're on holiday for quite a few weeks.
But what would you earn as a plumber?
Well, I would think then that the pay was about £3.50 for a 46.5-hour week. So we felt we were, you know, as football
like you were
players,
millionaires.
Well, I certainly thought we were well off anyway.
The business has since been bought by another company, but the Preston base is still run by the sons of Tom and Joe Finney.
It was a bad ball by Gareth Southgate. Emil Heskey hoping to capitalise on it. Michael Owen is waiting in the centre. Boateng has run back. Good cross by Heskey. Oh, and Owen was there! Right in front of the Kop stand.
For Tom Finney in the mid-20th century, read Michael Owen in the early 21st. Each is a superstar of his own era, but only the shape of the ball remains the same. Did you ever see the football boots that they wore? They were like miners' boots. Have you ever seen them?
I wouldn't be able to pick my legs up in them.
You wouldn't be able to kick the ball with them?
No, it's obviously the game's moved on. The balls that they use, the boots that they wear, you know, the game's moved on so much now. You know, and you know, I don't know what it would be like now, but if it rained with them boots and them balls, you wouldn't like to head a ball for starters, and I don't know how you'd pick your feet up for 90 minutes.
That'd be virtually impossible, wouldn't it? Now you're the European Footballer of the Year, Tom Finney was the leading England goal scorer at that time, and also he won Football of the Year twice. How good is that? Is that something you'd like to emulate?
Football of the Year, yeah, is a fantastic achievement. You know, I've never won it, and that would be certainly one of the goals I'd like to achieve before I retire. And to win it once is an achievement, but twice is I don't know of many people that have won it twice. And yeah, to have been voted that, you must have been something special. And
another thing about Tom was that when he played, he also worked as a plumber. It's true. He worked as a plumber.
Did he wind me up here?
No, I'm telling you, he worked as a plumber. So you train every day, right? Yeah. And the schedule is unbelievable. But at night, if you had to be a plumber as well, it'd be virtually impossible, wouldn't it?
Oh, man. Yeah, obviously the game has changed.
Here's Michael Owen.
In fact, football is almost unrecognisable from the profession known to Tom Finney.
Owen! It's a hat-trick in the first half!
At Preston, 3 sides of the ground have been transformed. The old main stand will soon follow. Standards of training, fitness, equipment and marketing have all gone into a new sphere. Tom Finney was signed up to advertise shredded wheat, but the pay was peanuts compared to today's millions. And injuries took longer to shake off then than they do today.
Obviously the game today is a far less brutal game than it was in the 40s and 50s. Players don't suffer the same physical abuse that obviously those players had to undertake, and it's an incredible statistic that Finney wasn't booked or sent off when he took so much abuse from his fellow professionals. So an incredible difference in the speed of the game as well now.
Tom was a key figure in the England team for season after season.
And here is the party as a whole. Right back, Staniforth. Left back, Byrne. Billy Wright, captain, right half. Owen. Dickinson. One and only Stanley Matthews. Broadis. Centre forward, Lofthouse. Taylor. Finney.
This was the squad that set off the 1954 World Cup in Switzerland, one of 3 World Cups in which Tom represented his country. In Switzerland, the squad won the opening group, but went out of the tournament in the quarter-finals, losing to Uruguay. Not that the training facilities in Switzerland gave them much help. But the World Cup goal that really caught my attention is this one. This is a World Cup in Sweden, 1958. England are losing 2-1 to Russia when they win a penalty. Now what about this for a show of dissent by the goalkeeper Lev Yashin? It's an instant red card today. As for England, Tom Finney takes responsibility for the kick. Let's see what happens. OK, a well-taken penalty. But when we see it again, notice that Tom, a naturally left-footed player, remember, takes it with his right foot. Now that's something I can hardly believe. A moment of massive importance in a World Cup, and he takes on the great goalkeeper Lev Yashin with his weaker foot. Would Michael Owen have the bottle to try that?
No chance.
But how good is that, to be fair?
That's confident. I can think of players now that have got 2 feet, but no, they'd always use their good foot. I'd never do it.
Well, I took it with my right foot simply because Yashin was in goal and he made a point of, you know, studying people that took penalty kicks, and when we got the penalty kick awarded, we'd only like sort of 6 minutes to go, I think it was. And I was in 2 minds whether to take it with my left foot, knowing that he would probably have seen me take the penalties, and I decided that I was going to take it with my right, and I still put it in the same spot. But of course he moved in the right position for it, but I just placed it far enough from him to score the goal.
Now that's a sign of great confidence in your own ability. What do you think your manager would have said if you'd have missed that penalty kick?
He wouldn't have been very pleased. But then again, I mean, you know, it was a question of, in those days, of really wanting volunteers to take penalties, and there weren't very many volunteers when, particularly, it came to the last few minutes in the game.
The kids talk about cool today. This man is surely the king of cool. Here he is scoring against Wolves at Molineux. Goal celebration, forget it. It's just part of the job to Tom. So what sort of guy is he really?
He was very, very determined. I think there is a determined streak in him. You know, he's, I think people will tell you about him, some of the stories about him as a businessman, for instance. He was very careful, not necessarily with money, but with the, you know, products of the business. And he was very careful to do a good job. And he has a strong work ethic. And people say on a Saturday morning when the staff had gone home from the plumbing business, Tom would go around the yard and pick up bits of copper piping that he thought might do for another job in the future. So he wasn't, you know, that was a product of what had gone on in his life, really. He knew he had to be careful, and he still is. There is a humble nature to him, there's no doubt about that, but I think there is that confidence that allows him to be very open about what's gone on, and I think he quite enjoys the profile, but he wouldn't seek it. But he's able to make a speech. He wouldn't look to make one, but when he has to make one, he can do it very well. So I don't think there's, you know, he has got this kind of inbuilt confidence that I think's been borne out through the fact that he's had not the easiest of times.
Today, Sir Tom Finney has even more difficult challenges to face. At a time of his life when he should be enjoying his retirement with his beloved wife Elsie, he finds himself having to care for his wife virtually 24 hours a day.
It started really when she had a fall and broke her hip. And whether it was coincidental, that I don't know, but certainly she had no sort of symptoms prior to having the fall. And she was in hospital for approximately 3 weeks and came through quite well from the treatment, but that was when, from then on, that she started deteriorating in her memory, really, more than anything. But, you know, we manage and we prepare meals together, and washing and ironing we get through with a little bit of help from her. But it's meant, of course, that I've not been able to really have or make any engagements because I've not been able to keep them, in the sense that she can't be left for any sort of period of time on her own, and, well, for no period of time on her own, really.
His name is part of the landscape now.
Right, tonight.
When Preston North End play, Sir Tom in his flat cap observes the proceedings in his current role of club president. The main stand is now the Tom Finney stand. Nobody's ever called Matthews the perfect player. You're called the perfect player. That's got to make you feel great. Come on, tell me the truth.
It does make me feel great, and it's a great compliment, I mean, for anybody to say that, because we've been some wonderful players in the game of football.
But you keep on talking about everybody else. Tom, we want you to talk about yourself.
Well, you know, I felt that I had great enjoyment out of the game, and I don't think it's for the player themselves to talk about how great they consider themselves were. That's for other people to tell you about.
Tom Finney earned only a fraction of the wealth on offer to today's players. But what he has earned is something even more valuable. Lasting respect and genuine affection. Not only the perfect player, but the perfect gentleman.
Where's Tom Finney? Tom cutting inside, a short ball there, very good one. And it's a corner. And Tom Finney's beaten his man there. And another one, away comes Finney on right. Coming inside, wonderful ball control. And he's beaten another one.